general quality of any vintage. With a slightly fancier equation, he can make more precise predictions for the vintage quality at more than 100 chateaus. It may seem a bit mathematical, he acknowledges, but this is exactly the way the French ranked their vineyards back in the famous 1855 classifications. Traditional wine critics have not embraced Ashenfelter's data-driven predictions. Britain's Wine magazine said, "The formula's self-evident silliness invites disrespect." William Sokolin, a New York wine merchant, said the Bordeaux wine industry's view of Ashenfelter's work ranges somewhere between violent and hysterical. At times, he's been scorned by trade members. When Ashenfelter gave a wine presentation at Christie's wine department, dealers in the back openly hissed his presentation. Maybe the world's most influential wine writer and publisher of the Wine Advocate, Robert Parker, colorfully called Ashenfelter an absolute total sham. Even though Ashenfelter is one of the most respected quantitative economists in the world, to Parker, his approach is really a Neanderthal way of looking at wine. It's so absurd as to be laughable. Parker dismisses the possibility that a mathematical equation could help identify wines that actually taste good. I'd hate to be invited to his house to drink wine. Parker says Ashenfelter is rather like a movie critic who never goes to see the movie but tells you how good it is based on the actors and the director. Parker has a point. Just as it's more accurate to see the movie, shouldn't it be more accurate to actually taste the wine? There's just one catch. For months and months, there is no wine to taste. Bordeaux and Burgundy spend 18 to 24 months in oak casks before they are set aside for aging in bottles. Experts, like Parker, have to wait 4 months just to have a first taste after the wine is placed in barrels. And even then, it's a rather foul fermenting mixture. It's not clear that tasting this undrinkable early wine gives tasters very accurate information about the wine's future quality. For example, Bruce Kaiser, former director of the wine department at auctioneer Butterfield & Butterfield, has claimed, "Young wines are changing so quickly that no one, and I mean no one, can really evaluate a vintage at all accurately by taste until it is at least 10 years old, perhaps older." In sharp contrast, Orley crunches numbers to find the historical relationship between weather and price. That's how he found out that each centimeter of winter rain tends to raise the expected price $0.00117. Of course, it's only a tendency, but number crunching lets Orley predict the future quality of a vintage as soon as the grapes are harvested, months before even the first barrel taste, and years before the wine is sold. In a world where wine futures are actively traded, Ashenfelter's predictions give wine collectors a huge leg up on the competition. Ashenfelter started publishing his predictions in the late 80s in a semi-annual newsletter called Liquid Assets. He advertised the newsletter, at first, with small ads in Wine Spectator, and slowly built a base of about 600 subscribers. The subscribers were a geographically diverse lot of millionaires and wine buffs, mostly confined to the small group of wine collectors who were comfortable with econometric techniques. The newsletter's subscription base was just a fraction of the 30,000 people who plunked down $30 a year for Robert Parker's newsletter, The Wine Advocate. Ashenfelter's ideas reached a much larger audience in early 1990 when the New York Times published a front-page article about his new prediction machine. Orley openly criticized Parker's assessment of the 1986 Bordeaux. Parker had rated the 86s as very good and sometimes exceptional. Ashenfelter disagreed. He felt that the below-average growing season temperature and the above-average harvest rainfall doomed this vintage to mediocrity. Yet the real bombshell in the article concerned Orley's prediction about the 1989 Bordeaux. While these wines were barely 3 months in the cask and had yet to even be tasted by critics, Orley predicted that they would be the wine of the century. He guaranteed that they would be stunningly good. On his scale, if the great 1961 Bordeaux were 100, then the 1989 Bordeaux were a whopping